Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. This one I will be using AutoCAD 2021. Not very many changes at all between 20 and 21. This is a special project that we're doing here because this is something that someone in the comments had asked me to help them with. Not sure if they're a student in high school or in college, but we want to try to help them out. If you ever have any projects or questions that you are struggling with and you wanted to ask me questions, my email address is mcgovjos@gmail.com. I can't guarantee that I'll always get back to you, especially if this becomes a flood of emails. But if it's a project that I like, maybe we'll go forward and we'll make a video on it, okay? This is a project that's using orthographic projections, okay? What that means is that we have the front of the object and we're going to draw the right of the object as well. So this would be similar to, if I were to use this as an example, that would be the front side of my stapler, that would be the right side of, now hang on, I'm worried if my camera is facing the wrong way, but basically if you have the front to the right of that would be your right view, if you had the front above that would be your top view, okay? So it would be like taking this and just kind of flipping it to be the top or flipping it to be the right. Now again, this may look like I'm flipping it left because my camera is probably a mirror, but you guys understand what I'm talking about, okay? Alright, so we're going to create this, alright? We have a drawing here that has, or a plan here that has all of the measurements and dimensions that we're going to need in order to make this, and we also have some other things giving us some information about what we need to do in order to create this drawing, okay? So these are suggestions. You can draw it this way or you can draw it my way. I'm going to kind of show you both and see what you guys like the best. This says this drawing uses continuous lines, which are basically just your regular drawing lines. Hidden lines. Hidden lines are basically like, I have a drill hole here, so this is a base plate, okay? It's made out of metal. There are drill holes that are drilled through the entire base plate. So if I had a drill hole here, in the right view, the bottom of that circle is going to give me a hidden line and the top of that circle is going to give me a hidden line. And it's showing me that this drill hole is actually going through from the front of the object to the back of the object. These lines, now you'll notice that on the other ones you'll have one there and up top of that circle there, top of this circle, bottom of that circle, top bottom, top bottom, top bottom. Those will be the same. So you have two of them that you're looking at here and they will both line up with each other, okay? Center lines, okay? Center lines are the lines that are showing the centers of these drill holes or of these circles. So this is a center line going down this way, that's a center line, center line, center line, center lines all the way around, okay? Fillets. Fillets we've talked about in other videos. If you've watched any of those, it's basically just a rounded corner. So if this were to say like, oh, create a fillet that is 0.25 inches, what you would do is you would type fillet, you would click on radius, you would put 0.25, and then you would click from one line to the other and it would create a fillet and actually trim the ends of the line on its own, okay? So let's look at that other one that we were just looking at again. Actually, there's a third one. So this one says, study the dimensions carefully, and I know you guys can read this, but I got to read it for myself because I haven't done this project yet. Study the dimensions carefully and remember that every grid increment is 0.25. Okay, so let's stop there for a second and go back to AutoCAD. What you're going to do, if you would like to draw this way, is you're going to type grid, and you're going to do 0.25. And what that does, I'm actually going to change it back to 1. Watch my gray grid in the back here. These are 1-inch boxes now, okay? No matter how far in you zoom or how far out you zoom, they equal 1 inch, okay? In this project, it's a suggestion that you create 0.25 grids, which every one of these is 1/4 of an inch, okay? They also want you to snap or use snap points, sorry, this is saying, and the snap points not on the grid are exactly halfway between grid points. So that's going to be confusing right now for a second, but if we go back to this other picture here, nope, not that one, this one, it'll say the grid was 0.25, the snap is 0.125. This is 1/4 of an inch, this is 1/8 of an inch. So what snap does, I've never done this in a video before because I don't really draw this way. If I type snap and I do 0.125, what it's going to do is, if I'm in the line or some kind of create tool, it'll skip along on basically like an invisible snap grid, and every time it snaps, that's 0.125. It's 1/8 of an inch, okay? So I could change that to be every 1 inch. And then if I'm in the line tool, you'll see it'll skip all the way 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, okay? Now this does make it easier to draw things that are very symmetrical, okay? So 0.25 again. I could draw something very straight, and I could say, okay, that's an 1/8. Ooh, I think I typed in the wrong one. Nope, not grid. Snap. 0.125. So this is an 1/8. That's a 1/4. That's a 1/2. That's 3/4. That's an inch. Okay, so you can draw that way if you'd like, or you know, you could just type 1, enter, and it will go 1 inch. That's the way that I usually draw. Okay, but just showing both ways. Okay. So let's go back to this one again. Nope, not that one. This one. And see what else it says. So it says, and snap points not on the grid. So if it doesn't hit the grid, that means it's not every 1/4, it's every 1/8. Okay, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Alright. Let's see. Halfway between the grid points. The 4 circles at the corners are a 0.38, actually 0.375 rounded off. So I'm probably going to create those at 0.375 over and in from the corner points. What that means is, sorry, I've got so many things open here. Looking right here, from the very bottom line of this base plate, 0.375 up gives me this line, this center line here, and 0.375 over, which is 3/8 of an inch, is going to give me this center line here, and that gives me the position and center of these drill holes. Okay, the outside fillets are also 0.38, but I'm going to make them 0.375 because it said that it was rounded. If you think, and I think her name was Christina or Christy, if this was your project and you wanted to create 0.38s, then just substitute that number in for every time I do 0.375. Okay, but I like to be more accurate. I don't like to round things. Okay. Because, you know, this is architectural type work, and, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it needs to be dead accurate. Okay. All right, so let's get rid of this, and let's go back to our drawing again, or our instructions. Okay, so over in front of the corner points, this is 3 snap spaces. Okay, so yeah, position the 3 circles along the center line of the rectangle carefully. Notice that dimensions are given from the center of the screw holes at top and bottom. Okay, so that's, again, pretty self-explanatory. Use the circle parameters to line up the hidden lines on the side view. Sorry, my camera's in the way. And the centers to line up the center lines. Okay, so what that's talking about is between the different views, between the front view and between the right view, just like I was saying before, you're going to use the edges of the circles to give you your hidden lines, and you're going to use the centers to give you your center lines. Okay. Generally, I do this center line a 1/4 of an inch past the object. Not sure, you know, that teacher or that professor what they're teaching, but that's the way that I do it and the way that we do it in class. Like this right here, I would have continued that to here and then gone an extra 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so let's go ahead and start drawing. All right. Let's see what else I'm gonna need this one up. Okay, but I'm gonna have that on my other screen, and I'll bring it over when we're looking at stuff. Okay. All right, so first things first, I'm looking at the outside dimensions. This is 4.75 by 6.25. Okay, follow the edges of the dimension and make sure it is what you're looking for. Generally, with dimensioning, the furthest out dimension, if there's 2 lines or 3 lines, is usually the bigger numbers. Okay, your max width by max height. Okay, so 4.75 by 6.25. So again, you could do 4.75 like that, and zoom out a little bit. Now, if you're stuck into that far in zoom, hit escape and do a double click of the scroller. That's a zoom extents. And that's going to readjust your zoom so that you can actually zoom out a little bit and see some stuff. Okay, or if you really want to do it their way, and I don't really want to, but I'll show you. This is an 1/8, that's a 1/4, that's a 1/2, that's 3/4. You can see how long this would take to do. That's 1 inch. Okay, so if I wanted to go 6.25, I got to keep counting all the way to 6.25 and then click my line, which I'm not going to do. 6.25. Okay, the other one again was 4.75, and then we're going to go back up and close. Okay, next thing I would do is fillet, R for radius, or you could click radius down here, that's up to you, and you're going to make those 0.375 or 0.38 if, you know, that professor is looking for you to round things, okay? And then you're just going to click from here to here. You're going to hit spacebar, that brings you back in, here to here. By the way, I'm just zooming in and out on the scroller. I'm clicking and holding on the scroller to do the pan, okay? And then zooming in. The cursor will zoom in to where your cursor is, or the system will zoom in to where your cursor is when you're scrolling up on the mouse, okay? All right, so back down here, fillet, radius, 0.375. Here's another fillet trick. If I just hit multiple, then it will allow me to 1, 2, and I don't have to hit spacebar now. I can just keep going around, 1, 2, okay? Let's do an offset. Let's do, oh, by the way, there was another suggestion here, and it didn't really matter yet, but it says we did grid, we did snap, the LT scale 0.5. What that means is if I were to draw a line, so okay, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here, but here, let's do offset, let's do 0.375, and let's come in on all 4 lines here. And you're just clicking, you know, what line you want to offset and which way you want to offset it, okay? I'm also going to suggest, let's see, I don't want this to get too confusing, so what I might do is I might take these lines and change their color for right now, just so that you know that these are going to be hidden lines in a second. I just didn't do them yet, okay? Now, offset again. I'm going to go, remember I said I like to overhang them by 0.25. So you're going to go 0.25 out, 0.25 out, 0.25 out, 0.25 out. I don't want to confuse the actual edges of the base plate with all these other lines. So again, let's just change these colors. It's very easy to change back, so why not change it so that it makes more sense, okay? So those can be a reddish as well, all right? Now, why did I do that? If I did EX, enter, and then I hit enter again for extend, I can click right here and it will extend. That's called a quick extend. It will extend to the closest object to it, or the closest line. And if I do that twice, it will go to the next one. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now you could also do it this way. Extend. What do I want to extend it to? This is not a quick extend. This is an old school extend that I call it. Hit enter. Ooh, I think I messed that up. Extend. What would you like to extend to? Now, why will it not let me select that line? That's interesting. Generally, when you do this, you would click what you want to extend it to. Huh, that's interesting. I hope that's not a change in this software. That would be annoying. But if you're using any other version, I guess, you know, what that would do, you'd hit extend, and you would just click on what you want to extend it to. You would hit enter, and then you would click what you want to extend. You could also do it this way, where you just grab the blue point here and just drag it until it hits that line. That's also another way to do it. Okay, so now these were pretty much dummy lines. We don't need these anymore. It was just to figure out where those overhangs were going to be. You can change the colors back now if you want. Go back to by layer. The 4 inside lines are going to be a line type. They're going to be center lines. Okay, so how do we do different line types? Right here below line weights is going to be line types. In line types, if you've never done these line types before, hang on, let's just make sure we're still recording here. Good. If you've never done it before, you're going to have to click on other, okay? And in here, you're going to have to hit load. Now, this is something that this professor or teacher did not specify. If I have center lines, there's center, center 2, and center x2. And basically, those are different scales within themselves for how big the center lines are. You can see center x2 really stands for 2x. It's 2 times bigger than the normal center line, which means it's like a little bit more zoomed in, okay? 0.5x would be a little bit further zoomed out, okay? So we usually use the 0.5x one, so I'm going to hit OK on that one. I'm going to hit load again, and I'm going to scroll down here until I see hidden line, because I want to load that one as well. The 0.5x one, okay, that's just the one that we use in our projects, and then you hit OK. If you select these 4 lines, by the way, if I click and go to the left, that's a green box. If I click and go to the right, that's a blue box. Green is going to select anything that it's touching and everything that's inside of it. Blue is only going to select everything that is fully inside of it. So notice how this fillet is the only thing that gets selected when I go like that, because it's the only thing that's fully inside. But if I go like this, I start getting more lines. So again, what it's touching and anything inside of it, what's fully inside of it. Okay? Alright, so select these 4 lines. Go to line type again and change that to center. Okay? Now notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 dashes in this center part here. Looking back at the drawing that we were given, we have a lot more than that. So let's change our LT scale to 0.5 and see if that's the correct line type that this professor wanted to use. Well, hang on, you don't have to select anything. LT scale 0.5, and you'll notice that that changes. So it does look like it's correct now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. So it was a 0.25x that he was using, okay, or she. Circles. Okay, now we're going to draw some circles. Looking at the drawing again, we have these little baby circles. Those are a 0.25, and this stands for diameter. Okay, you'll see D 0.25, DIA 0.25, or you'll see the diameter symbol 0.25. Okay, it all means the same thing. So a 0.25 diameter circle. And what that means is if we drop this down and we do center diameter, we can click here and we can type in our diameter, which is 0.25. We could do that 3 more times, or we can click this one and do copy, zoom in and copy it from the center of that circle. If you're not getting the center, hit escape, go back and type OS, enter. Make sure that these are the ones that I always have checked. Endpoint, midpoint, center, intersection. I don't really like extension, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so this, copy, click at the center, click at these different intersections. Now I don't like, see how the snapping is like, it sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. The snap is very close. Okay, so I'm gonna turn that off now because you guys know how to use it. It just takes a lot more time. It could be a beginner class, I'm not really sure. It's a good way to learn in the very beginning, but it's definitely not very productive in my opinion. I think you can get a lot more done a lot faster if you do it the way that we normally do it. Okay, alright, so delete that. Let's see, we're gonna need a line down the middle, so we're gonna go from midpoint to midpoint here. Again, I had midpoint turned on. I probably should have done this before when I had my 0.25 offsets already figured out. This can go to there, and again I'm just going to turn snap off, that's annoying me, and bring this one down to here, get rid of the lines. Okay, so going back to the drawing again, now see this is, okay, in this picture they have it 1/4 of an inch past the circles, so we can do it that way, that's not a big deal. Let's draw our circles first and then I'll end up trimming that. Okay, this one circle is, let's see, where is the position of this? From this circle 1.25, from that circle 3.5, from this circle 2. Okay, so I'm gonna do an offset of this line 1.25, 2, and then 1.5 because I'm just doing 3.5 minus 2 here. Okay, so 1.25, 2, 1.5. 1.25, this is an offset. Notice how when you offset a center line, it's going to continue to be a center line. Escape, spacebar, 2, enter. Escape, spacebar, 1.5, enter. Spacebar just brings you back into the tool that you were just in. With offset though, you still have to type your distance of what you want. Although if I did spacebar and I hit enter, it would just give me the same offset that I was already using. Okay, so now let's draw some more circles here. This one actually is going to be a center line as well, so let's make sure that that is center 2. We're going to draw some more circles. This one is a 0.75 diameter, 0.5 diameter, 0.25 diameter. We could just steal one of these again, copy, grab it from the middle, put, oop, that goes there. We have another diameter that's going here, and that's a 0.5. We have another diameter up here, and that's a 0.75. Alright, so those circles are done. Now, I'm going to change my global color right now to red, and I'm going to do offset of 0.25. The red lines are going to be things that I'm going to erase later. Now, that should have created a red line. That's interesting. When you create new things, it would make it red. When you offset it, it's just going to match the properties of what was there. So that's not a big deal. I guess you don't have to change this. Leave it as by layer. But notice how if I did have that set and I drew a new line, it would make it red. The offset is just going to copy what was already there. So that was a mistake on my part. I'm sorry about that. Offset again, 0.25. 0.25 out, 0.25 out. Now let's change colors just so that it doesn't get confusing. These three outside circles are going to be red. They're going to get erased. I'm going to trim and I'm going to click. Oh, they changed something. I don't like this. Notice how I said there wasn't big changes, but I didn't realize this until now. Immediately starting with the trim command is a quick trim, and I don't like that. Whereas when you hit enter, that's also a quick trim. So it's just something to get used to, which is fine. But how do you do the other trim now? That's what we need to figure out. This is only if you're using 2021. Everything before this is not like this, okay? Cutting edges. Select the object. Yeah, okay, you gotta hit cutting edges now. That's annoying. Hit enter, and then click what you don't want. Oh, that line is supposed to stay. That one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. 1, 2, 3, delete. I don't like that about the trim tool. It's going to take some getting used to, but you know, that's what happens. They change stuff. Okay. Alright, so where are we at here? This looks pretty good. I think we're done. This is just saying that there are 4 of those circles. There's 4 of these fillets. We looked at that. If you want to double check and do your, you know, make sure, you can say, okay, from here to here, it's 5.5. Double check that with the drawing. Whoops. 5.5. You know, you can do that all around. That's up to you. If you want to put dimensions on here, I'll put 1 or 2. That was just a linear dimension. Okay, you're just saying, hey, from here to here, and then you just go out and click. That's 4. If you wanted to do a diameter dimension, you would click the circle and you would just say where you want the text to be. Notice how you get that little thing there. If you don't like that symbol, double click on it, click back inside. Sometimes you can't like click in there, so you have to actually arrow over. And then see how it's like still highlighted right now. I don't like that, because when you go to type, like, so what I'm saying is you should be able to just change this part, but you can't do that. You have to change the whole thing. So you could put DIA 0.25 inches or whatever you want to do. Notice how in this drawing this is just 4.75, and sorry, that was supposed to be the outside. But look at these numbers here. They are just 4.75, 0.75. They're not fractional. They're still decimal, but they also don't have 4 zeros afterwards. I want to keep that. Okay. So what that means is we have to go into our DDIM settings. We have to hit modify if we're trying to get it to look exactly like that drawing. Symbols and arrows, I would make this 0.25. Center marks none, because we don't want to have we made our own center marks. We don't want to have the system put in its own center marks, because then there's going to be 2 center marks, and it's not really the same. It's better to do it by hand like we did it. Text height 0.25. This is just the numbers that we use. Fit, always keep text between the extension lines. What that means is that if there's a really small dimension, sometimes it likes to like put the number outside and point to that area. I don't like that. I like to put it in there anyways, even if it doesn't fit, and then we change that number to be a little bit smaller if it doesn't fit. Okay. Primary units, decimal's fine, but it looks like we're set up like this with what's rounding. Okay, so that's probably why that drawing says 0.38 instead of 0.375. Okay, and then hit OK and hit close. All right, so you notice, you know, everything is fine now. All right, so that's done. How do we do the right view? Okay, this is going to be pretty easy. You just need to figure out what the depth is. Whoops. Let's go back to this. It gives you a 0.5 depth. And it's going to be the same height. This, let's see, the stapler is not a great example. Well, okay, we'll use it. The height of the stapler from here to here does not change when I start looking at one of the other sides. It's still the same top and bottom, and they have to line up with each other on the grid. If you had this drawn with a 2-inch height, and then you have this down here drawn at a 2-inch height, it doesn't make sense. It has to line up perfectly in order for orthographic projections to be correct, okay? So, with that being said, leave a couple inches between here. Maybe we'll do an offset of like 3 inches off of this line, and that'll be our first one here. Notice how that line does not go all the way to the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually drag a line here and drag a line here and do EX enter. Now I think this is also the same thing as trim. You would have to click boundary edges if you want to use the trim, the extend, the way that I was trying to explain earlier. But we can do a quick one because that's actually easier right now. Okay, so there is no extra enter to hit, which is going to be confusing because I'm going to be making my videos on 2021 and my students are going to be using 2000, what are they using in class, 2019 or something like that. Now let's get rid of these lines. Okay, so we said from here 0.5, it's going to go down, I think it's 6.5. Nope, that's not right. 6.25, and then back over. Okay, so you get something like that. Now there's a couple different ways to do that. You can do X line, and you could go on this intersection and then go to the right and click, and I can hit spacebar twice. One of them gets me out, one of them gets me back in. Space, space. That's giving me my 3 positions of those lines, right? So again, now this is a situation where I would not want to do a quick trim, because if I was doing this regular quick trim and I'm clicking here, notice how it's taking those lines out and this looks nice, but it leaves all this over here. So that's not what we want. We want to do the trim cutting edges, click, click, enter, and then those, why is that, oh, they changed that too. I like the box. That's okay though. I'm starting to get upset. I don't want to get upset on camera. But this is just typical. They always change things. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Okay, so let's do an offset of 0.25 because the center line is going to overhang the right and left by 0.25. Again, if you get confused by these lines, change the color, and then you're going to erase them later anyways. EX enter is already a quick extend. But if you're using 2020 or earlier, you're going to want to hit an enter there to make it a quick extend. So it would be EX enter and then another enter. That would make you a quick extend. Okay? So left side of that line, right side of that line. Okay? Now, get rid of these. What I'm going to do is I want to make, let's see, how can we do this? Yeah, we'll wait until we get them all and then we'll do our line types. Okay? So, X line. By the way, you don't have to use X line. You could start a line here and just draw it like that. Just stay on the green line. If you're not getting the green line, that is F10. F10 has to be on, okay? If F10 is not on, you don't get that green line. F10 is on, you get the green line, okay? Get those. Now there are a lot of lines here. If this is confusing, do one at a time. Alright, trim. Again, 2020 or earlier, you're already good to go. You're going to click right and left, hit enter, and then start clicking these lines out here to trim them off at those edges. 2021. Cutting edges, right and left line, hit enter, go like that. You'll see a green box if you're using 2020 or earlier. This has the line now. I think I missed one. You can drag that back. Okay, now let's we should have left those red lines, so let's do 0.25 again. This is gonna be a long video. I'm sorry, Christina. And offset, no, I'm sorry, extend all the center ones. Again, it's showing what is happening in here through the object. If I didn't have any of these lines, it would be like the right view is explaining just a solid object, but it's not a solid object. It's an object that has a lot of drill holes in it, and you have to understand from the right side that there's something going on in there that is cut through the entire object all the way from front to back. Okay. Did I miss one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're good. Again, these could be red if you want. Delete them. All right. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to be line type. Those are going to be center. 1, 2. There are no hidden lines in this view because there's nothing happening here that we can't see in this view. As an example, if I had a drill hole over here that went through the entire object from right side to left side, meaning we can't see it from this view, you would have top hidden line all the way across, bottom hidden line all the way across, center line all the way across. That's if it went all the way through. Okay, but we don't have anything like that. So there are no hidden lines on the front view, only on the right view because we're describing these drill holes to the right. Okay, so again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go to line type, change to hidden 2, and this drawing is now done. Okay, let's see, should we make a 3D model? Yeah, we should. Okay, get rid of the dimensions. So this would be done. You would save this, you'd print it, you'd do whatever you're going to do. I would probably put some line weights on there, but that's just me. If you want to put line weights, you can just click whatever you want to be a little thicker. This is the actual base plate. This is the outside of it. And that means that they're going to get thicker lines, whereas the center lines and hidden lines, they always stay light. Okay, so you can click those, go to line weights, and you can click on, like, I don't know, 1.00, 0.7, whatever you want. Okay, now they're not going to show right away until you turn that on. And it is summertime, and I'm forgetting off the top of my head how to do that. There is something down here for that. It is show hide line weights. I don't see that down there, so let's go to L weight and do display line weight and hit OK. Okay, now there's another way down here, but I don't see it right now. That could be something else that they took away again. You could click this for customize, and you could go to, let's see, where is it? Dynamic input, line weight, boom. That is now showing blue. Off would be off. Now it doesn't delete the line weights, it just doesn't show them, okay? So that would be done. Alright, now I'm going to get rid of this. Get rid of these dimensions. Get rid of everything except for the circles and the outside shape. This is just if you want to do a 3D model of this, okay? We drew this on the front, alright, because this is the front of the object. If you drew it on the top by accident, because I didn't say that in the beginning, I didn't really think about making a 3D model, or maybe I did initially and then I didn't really think about it past that. Just select everything and do Control C and hit delete. Change this to say, like you were on the top, change this to say front, and then do Control V for paste and just plop it down somewhere. Okay, now go back to the top, click the bottom right corner. This is going to give you a 3D view. Take all of this, extrude -0.5. Ooh, sorry, we skipped a step. Join 1, 2. We have to join this object to be one big polyline around the outside, not 8 different lines. Enter. This says 8 objects converted to one polyline. That's good. That's what we want. Double check those numbers. Make sure you're supposed to have 8. Make sure you have 8. If it says 9 to 1 or 9 to 2, then there's something wrong. There's a double line somewhere. Okay? You always need it to say to one polyline. If it says to 2, that means that there's something wrong. Alright? So we've got this. We're going to select everything here, and we're going to do, again, you could change your 3D tools, but this one's pretty easy. Go to the gear, hit 3D Basics. Select everything, extrude or type it, it's up to you. -0.2, -0.5. And then the next thing here, if I change this from 2D wireframe to be like conceptual or something, those are not drill holes yet. They're just holes they're just like circles that are plugging in those spots that we don't want. So going back to 2D wireframe, we're going to do a subtract. Click the outside main model, hit enter, and then click what you want to subtract. I want to subtract all of these different drill holes, okay, because these are not drill holes yet. They're just cylinders. So you hit enter. Now, it's not going to change any of the look on 2D wireframe, but when you go to conceptual, you'll see that you now have your base plate complete. Okay, and that is it. I hope that this video helps somebody. I think this is going to be the start of a new playlist where I'm going to do some orthographic projections. Also, so you know, this is called an isometric view, which is basically just a 3D view. Okay, that's like when we're clicked down on that corner right there. This is isometric. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and hopefully you guys will follow me along in this new playlist as I start to build more and more videos. All right, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot. See ya. Gotta catch 'em all.